enlarged the meaning of victory. They did more than simply win. They were players who defined a decade, teams that symbolized an era. And in fulfilling their promise of greatness, these men fed the dreams and lifted the spirits of entire generations. These champions are now legends, but they still have the power to inspire our imaginations. And in one special dream, there's a season where pro football's greatest teams compete against each other to choose a champion for the ages. This is the Dream Season.
The 1985 Chicago Bears meet the 1976 Oakland Raiders with the division title at stake. Hello, everyone. This is Merrill Reese at Soldier Field in Chicago as the 85 Bears meet the 76 Raiders. Steve Sabol, it's a fascinating matchup, not only because of what's at stake, but because of the styles of these two teams.
Merrill, while both teams are radically different in their strategic approach to the game, they're almost identical in two ways. Both teams love to intimidate and to bully, and both have mastered an ability that's vital in the art of Kung Fu. It's called sabaki. And it's the ability to remedy an unfavorable situation with a single blow. Now, the Bears can deliver that blow with their defense, the Raiders with their offense.
What about the offenses? There's no similarity there.
Well, the Raiders are a classic pocket passing team. They set Ken Stabler up as if he were on a pedestal. And John Madden simply feels the best way to throw is to root your passer right in the pocket and let him wing the ball to all different parts of the field. Now, the Bears, they're totally different. McMahon is a much more mobile quarterback than Stabler, and he's very skilled at throwing the ball on the run. McMahon isn't as accurate as Stabler, but like all great quarterbacks, he's a catalyst, and he makes everyone around him better.
Jim McMahon's offensive spark was evident throughout 1985, and it carried over into the first week of the Dream Season. McMahon caught the 77 Cowboys' doomsday defense by surprise as the 85 Bears built a big lead. But in the end, it was Chicago's defense that had to secure the victory. Trailing by 6 points in the final seconds, Dallas's Roger Staubach attempted a Hail Mary pass, but the Bears stood firm and held on for a 34-28 victory. The following week, the Bears were challenged by another Hall of Fame quarterback. This time, Johnny Unitas of the 1959 Baltimore Colts. The Bears forced Unitas and the Colts into 5 turnovers in posting a 17-13 victory. And in Week 3, it was Vince Lombardi and the 1966 Packers who tried to keep pace with Chicago. The Packers stayed even with the Bears through regulation. But in overtime, number 85, Dennis McKinnon, helped deal Green Bay its first loss of the Dream Season. The Bears' 23-17 sudden death victory improved their record to 3-0 and helped propel Chicago to its 2 most dominating performances of the season. In Week 4, the Bears shut out the 1983 Raiders 12-0 and then crushed the 1953 Lions 33-0, giving Chicago a lofty 5-0 record.
I've always said all year that we are the best. You know, a lot of people, I guess we had to prove it to them. And we proved today to everybody.
This is not the end of the road. I mean, there's work to be done. There's miles to go. That's the way the poem goes. We've got a little way to go yet.
And I tell you, it's going to get better. Well, like I said, the best is yet to come. It really is.
The best will come to the Bears only if they can get past one more obstacle. Their toughest opponent of the season. The unbeaten 1976 Raiders, who also need one more victory to reach the dream season playoffs.
This Jeep Cherokee has the advantage of an exclusive full...
McMahon would facing a defense that is dramatically different in concept and personnel than his own.
Well, unlike the Bears, Merrill, the Raiders don't have a ferocious pass rush. Instead of attacking the quarterback like the Bears do, the Raiders attack his receivers. They try to eliminate his targets. And the names of the men who play in that Oakland secondary will make the hair stand on the back of a receiver's neck. Jack Tatum, George Atkinson, Skip Thomas, alias Dr. Death, and Hall of Famer Willie Brown. But in spite of this intimidating secondary, the Raiders really don't win with defense. They give the ball to Ken Stabler and let him come back with the trophies.
Quarterback Ken Stabler has proven to be the dream season's greatest miracle worker. Trailing the 1968 Jets late in Week 1, Stabler took nearly the length of the field before fullback Mark Van Egan barreled in for the winning score. Just as he had done countless times in 1976, Stabler rescued the Raiders from near certain defeat and would do the same in Week 2. This time it was the 1982 Redskins who seemed to have Oakland dead and buried. But backed up at his own goal line, Stabler again brought the Raiders back to life. Cliff Branch's 99-yard touchdown came with just over a minute remaining, and another silver and black prayer had been answered 27-24.
That's right, we did it, we did it! Oh yeah, everybody count us out. All right, we did it, we did it!
In Week 3, the Raiders did it again as Stabler threw 3 touchdowns and Oakland held on to beat the 1969 Chiefs 28-24. The Raiders went on to defeat the 1971 Cowboys 27-10 and then looked to run their win streak to 5 against the 1986 Giants. Once again, Stabler was nearly unstoppable. But with the Raiders holding a 21-17 lead and time running out, Giants quarterback Phil Simms took his own shot at a miracle. The Giants' Hail Mary would fall short, and with his team sporting a 5-0 record, head coach John Madden analyzed the Raiders' latest victory.
Had the defense not held them, it wouldn't have made too much difference if the offense hadn't scored. If we hadn't gotten some special teams, some great plays, coverage and returns, I think it was just the whole thing that put it in that was so important.
For the Raiders' victory celebration to continue, they'll need one more win today against the '85 Bears. One more day blessed by the charm of the snake.
Merrill Reese and Steve Sabol at Soldier Field as the '85 Bears meet the '76 Raiders. Let's take a look at the key factors. Steve, as our historical analyst, what have you uncovered?
Well, Merrill, I think the key matchup today is the passing attack of the Raiders against the pass rush of the Bears. With Fred Biletnikoff, Cliff Branch, and Dave Casper, the Raiders have perhaps the most beautifully balanced trio of receivers ever to play for one team. Now, Stabler has a maximum of receivers to throw to, but, and this is important, he'll have a minimum of time in which to find them. Now, Stabler's always, he seemed immune to pressure and intimidation, and if that holds true today, and if his line can protect him, the Bears' defense could be stretched and twisted in ways they never thought possible. The defense of the 1985 Bears thrives on all-out pressure and intimidation. But Raiders head coach John Madden has a unique strategy in store for the Bears today.
I know one thing, that when they got their 8 and then 9 men up in front, I know that I wouldn't run. I would get back there and I would tell my team, we're going to pass every down. And the guys, ooh, and the offensive lineman go, oh, we have to pass, oh, I'm going to pass. Yeah, we're going to pass every down. Most of the time, they were in man-to-man. and I know Buddy Ryan would argue with this, if you have time, you can beat it. I would work the whole week just on pass protection because I had a good offensive line.
We'll find out how good that offensive line is. I know it's big. Don't look very mobile to me. Look like they're stuck in mud most of the time.
As far as the Bears are concerned, you're talking about a very dominating defensive group. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Mr. Dent. I call him Mr. Dent because we're talking about a great, great pass rusher.
I feel if Shell could handle Dent man for man, Upshaw could handle the guy over him man for man. Now our center would need help on Hampton. Dalby would need help. We had a truly great offensive line and would have been able to hold up. And once we would have been able to hold up, Branch and Blitnikoff and Casper would have wreaked havoc in the secondary. And I think that we would have done well and maybe found a way to beat that great Bear defense.
Our defense, we're going to turn them loose. We're going to turn them loose. We're going to get on the snake. We're going to put pressure on them. We're going to try to give Branch the cushion because we know what they're going to run. They're going to run the deep pass, come back. What I want to do is I want to put more of my double coverage. I want to go on Blitnikoff. You know, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, so we got to cover him up.
They're going to be very physical. They're going to challenge you a lot. You're going to be working the entire game. You know, you don't get too many breaks as far as, you know, getting breathers with the Bears. You know, the thing that we have to do the most, I think, as receivers would be our routes have to maybe be a little shorter because of that pass rush.
Blitnikoff is really great at running those 10-yard routes, 12-yard routes, and he'll kill you. And our cornerbacks are really going to have to play tough man-to-man, and we're going to have to get a free safety help with Cliff Branch with all the speed that he has.
I might lean towards the Raiders only in the sense that they maybe were capable of making the bigger play than the Bears. I could see the Snake making a big play in that ballgame. Maybe Cliff Branch, maybe Dave Casper coming up with a miraculous catch. I would give the Raiders the edge offensively, and maybe because of that, the edge in the game.
The Raiders, for all this mystique of being a rough, tough team, they are a finesse team offensively with those types of players, and finesse will not work against the Bears. So 44-0, the Chicago Bears will win.
A Bears blowout or a Raiders romp? Only one thing is certain. Two of the most intimidating defenses in football history take the field today. And the result may make even the hardiest fans a little squeamish.
This game will not be the faint of heart. If you don't like physical football, stay out of the way because there would be helmets being thrown around, shirts will be ripped off, guys will be gouging at each other's eyes, there will be some bite marks on the neck, definitely. This game probably be the most physical football game played since the inception of football, without a doubt.
That's a game that should be played in Chicago. I mean, that game should be cold. The blood should dry on your hands. I mean, it should freeze on your hands before it drips to the ground. That's on the shores of Lake Michigan. It's got to be at about 15 degrees. You got to see breath, and you got to hear it. I mean, that would be an audio football game. You'd hear that a long ways away.
Just about set for action. Just about set for action. But before kickoff, here's a preview of some other games that are being played today.
As Vince Lombardi's 1966 Packers take the field for their final game of the dream season, the heat will be on number 26, Hall of Fame cornerback Herb Adderley and the Packer defense. Adderley must contend with the dynamic receiving tandem of Lynn Swann and John Stallworth as the 1978 Steelers hope to complete a 6-0 season before heading into the playoffs. Another duo will also try to help their team to a 6-0 record as the 1972 Dolphins 1-2 punch of Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris hopes to continue to wage its war on opposing dream defenses. Zonka, Mr. Inside, and Morris, Mr. Outside, have helped the Dolphins run over such teams as the 83 Raiders, the 64 Browns, and the 59 Colts. But today, Zonka and Morris will try to stand up to Willie Lanier and the rest of the stifling 1969 Chiefs defense. And in a game that has no bearing on the playoffs, but does have perhaps the most intrigue, Joe Namath and the 1968 Jets go against Johnny Unitas and the 1959 Colts. A matchup in which Baltimore head coach Weeb Ewbank will try to outsmart New York head coach Weeb Ewbank. A confrontation that could only take place in a dream season.
As usual, we'll have highlights and scores at halftime. But now we've got a championship to decide, so let's go down to the field for today's starting lineups. Right now, the Bears defense is being introduced. This unit was the dream season leader in sacks. Staubach, Unitas, Bart Starr, and Bobby Lane all crumbled beneath their onslaught.
But today, they face the hottest passer in the dream season, Kenny Stabler. He leads the league in touchdown passes, and he also leads the league in yards per pass. Oakland's bomb and batter offense has dominated all their opponents so far. And you know what Al Davis says? We don't take what the defense gives us. We take what we want.
Steve, one interesting matchup today is the great Walter Payton against the Raiders defense that has been only average in stopping the run. And I think this is something that Mike Ditka will try to exploit.
Well, both coaches like to do the same thing. They like to get their best athletes in one-on-one situations and then pound away and see who's tougher.
The toughest today will be the division champion and go on to the playoff.
The original Duke team is back.
For the kickoff here at Soldier Field. The game is about to get underway. Errol Mann approaches the ball. He hits it high and end over end. Big kickoff coming down to Dennis Gentry, 3 yards deep. He's coming out across the 5, the 10. He will not reach the 15 as Dennis Gentry goes down under a pile of Raiders at the 14.
A matchup that Mike Ditka will certainly try to exploit here in the early going is going to be his running game, which has been very effective during this dream season against the Raiders' rushing defense, which has really just been above average.
Let's see how the Bears open right here. They have a 1st and 10. The ball at the 14 as McMahon takes the snap, slips it to his bread and butter man, Payton, and Walter goes down in his tracks. He is hit by Matuzak.
Matuzak's a typical renegade Raider. He's played with 3 different teams, and the Raiders acquired him to bolster their pass rush. He's 6'8", 280, and the 2s is definitely someone that Jim McMahon will want to avoid today, Merrill.
He's their leading sacker. He's had a great season. 2nd and 10 for the Bears. The ball remains on the 14-yard line. 2s get set to charge again.
White 75! White 75!
McMahon into a long count. Again to Payton. Payton tries to sweep to the outside. No, says Villapiano as he pulls down Walter Payton. And it looked like Otis Sistrunk, the man who strung out that play.
Those Raiders outside linebackers, Hendricks, number 83, and Villapiano, they're both all pros, and they'll have to be neutralized today if Ditka expects his offense to move the ball.
It'll be 3rd and 10 for the Bears, who have not moved on downs 1 and 2. The ball remains on the 14-yard line. In motion goes McKinnon from right to left.
Black 75!
Again a long count. And back goes McMahon. He is looking. Oh, he is hammered down, and it is Hendricks coming in from the outside and burying Jim McMahon. The blitz worked, and it's 1, 2, 3 and out for the Bears.
Chicago ran 3 plays and didn't cross the line of scrimmage once. Certainly a less than promising beginning for Mike Ditka's Bears, who just might have underestimated John Madden's 3-4 defense.
Here's Maury Buford in the punt for the first time today. No rush by the Raiders as they're laying back. Neil Colsey gets under it, takes it, and is hit immediately by Gary Fensick and driven back.
We spoke in the pregame show about the difference between McMahon and Stabler. And although McMahon has more dimension than Stabler, perhaps more athletic ability, Stabler is a more complete quarterback. I think Stabler's truly a field general. There he is coming onto the field. He's a field general because he calls his own plays, something today's quarterbacks no longer do.
Davey's going to have to call some great plays today, and the Raiders are going to have to execute extremely well because he is facing a Bears defense that is certainly one of the great defenses of all time.
Well, there's 8 All-Pros on it. There's Gary Fensick, number 45, Chicago's all-time leading tackler. Mike Singletary there, one of the most intelligent linebackers ever to play the game. Richard Dent, number 95, Super Bowl MVP. Dan Hampton, 99.
First and 10 for the Raiders, their first offensive play of the game, and they have the ball on their own 25-yard line as Stabler retreats. He looks, he pumps, he fires to the sideline, complete to Biletnikoff, who is banged out of bounds after picking up 12 yards and a first down. There's John Madden prowling the sidelines.
And there's a vital cog in his offensive machine, number 63, Gene Upshaw. He's the cutting edge of their running game and the middle pillar of Stabler's passing pocket, and blocking this man, the refrigerator, will be Upshaw's job today.
First and 10 for the Raiders as they break from the huddle and deploy Branch wide to the near side. Fensick and Wilson could be coming out of Buddy Ryan's 46 defense. Stabler to throw again. He's back. He's looking. Coming to the sideline. Complete to Biletnikoff for the second straight time. And that time he picks up 7 yards.
You know, most teams need to establish a running game before they can pass effectively. You know, but the Raiders, they just come out throwing. And by passing quickly on first down, when the Bears have to honor the run, Stabler has little to fear from Ditka's pass rush.
After 4 consecutive passes, the Raiders surprise the Bears with a draw play, and Clarence Davis picks up 34 yards. Staying on the ground and running left, behind Hall of Famers Gene Upshaw and Art Shell, the Raiders drive to Chicago's 20-yard line. Then the Bears dig in and check the Raiders' momentum. On third down, Pete Banaszak, number 40, is thrown for a loss, and Madden sends in his field goal unit.
Earl-Man in to attempt the field goal. Here he goes. It's blocked! It's blocked! And so the Raiders do not break the ice, and is Madden ever upset? Richard Dent looked to be the man who, it was Richard Dent who blocked it.
Boy, that's a disappointing conclusion to a good drive for the Raiders. But I think it certainly confirms the Raiders' strategy. They're going to attack Chicago's corners with Biletnikoff and Branch, try to stretch the defense horizontally, and then run through the gaps with Davis and Mark Van Eegen.
Well, Biletnikoff is one guy who can create big problems if the Bears can't pressure Stabler. Buddy Ryan chatting with William Perry. Perry has been a very, very pleasant surprise. He's played inspired football during this dream season. We have 8 minutes to play here in a scoreless first quarter.
Throughout the first quarter, Chicago's feared 46 defense consistently leaks yardage, as Ken Stabler moves the Raiders with a variety of sharply executed runs and precisely thrown sideline passes. While the Bears give ground, they do not give up points, tightening their defenses whenever the Raiders get into scoring position. On offense, the Bears have nothing at all to cheer about. McMahon's play seems too conservative and inconsistent, and this lack of a passing game takes its toll on the running game. The Raiders concentrate on stopping Walter Payton. Their linemen shoot the gaps and force him wide. The linebackers and defensive backs play close to the line to cut off his escape routes. John Madden's defense is so effective that the Bears cannot make a first down, and the first quarter ends with Ditka and McMahon searching for a way to break the Raiders' stranglehold on their offense.
Set! One!
Merrill Reese and Steve Sabol back at Soldier Field We're in the second quarter, and neither team has scored. The Raiders have managed to move the ball somewhat on the Bears' defense, but their only scoring opportunity was a field goal attempt, and that was swatted away by Richard Dent.
John Madden says that being a football coach is like being a baker. You need certain ingredients, and then you have to know how to blend them. And he's combined a surprising ability to run on the Bears with a quick-hitting passing attack to control the game.
It's 2nd and 5 on the Oakland 26. Biletnikoff splits out to the near side. Stabler into his count. He pitches to Van Egan. Van Egan tries to get to the outside, and he is brought down. He fumbles. He fumbles, and it looks like Mike Singletary has recovered for the Bears at the Oakland 33.
Now there's a valuable lesson on why the Bears are undefeated during this dream season. They lead the league in takeaways, and they've just put the offense in scoring position.
In spite of their good field position at the Raiders' 33, the Bears still can't move on the ground. And when a third down pass is broken up by Oakland's Willie Hall, number 39, Chicago's discouraged offensive unit gives way to the field goal team.
Walter Payton is supposed to be the hammer, not the nail, but he and Suey are getting pounded here today. The Bears have gained only 11 yards rushing so far and have yet to complete a pass.
Kevin Butler's on the field. He's lining up a 40-yarder. The kick is away. It's long enough. It's good. And the Bears strike first. 3-0 Chicago. Fans celebrating here at Soldier Field. Buddy Ryan and William Perry smiling on the sideline, but they're still got to be concerned because on offense, the Bears have been outgained by more than 100 yards.
I'm certain John Madden is now telling Kenny Stabler, just stick with our game plan. Madden's a sharp tactician whose sense of progress of a game is uncanny. He can see impending strengths and weaknesses in his own and other teams before anyone else. And I think both he and Stabler have to feel good about the way they've controlled the ball against a defense that, in the opinion of many experts, is the best ever to play the game.
It's 2nd down and 5 for the Raiders. The ball on their own 46-yard line, and they are driving once again. Biletnikoff is having quite a day. Singletary's made some big tackles. Here's Stabler to pass once again. He's going over the middle. Complete to Dave Casper, and Casper takes it for a first down.
Madden's strategy continues to pose problems for Chicago, especially the linebackers who are kept off balance by Stabler's carefully measured delivery of short, high-percentage passes. The running game, though not nearly as potent as Stabler's passing, is a violent reminder of the brute power that has always been part of the Raider attack.
1st and 10 for the Raiders and the Bears 22. Raiders trail 3-0, but they're on the move to give to Van Egan, and he picks up 4.
Van Egan is the only runner in NFL history to gain more than 6,000 yards, yet never have a run longer than 35 yards. It's a real blue-collar plow horse. Perfect candidate for the all-time All-Madden team.
Well, Steve, I think Ditka might call him a Grabowski. It's 2nd down and 6 at the Bears 18. The fabled columns of Soldier Field. Stabler sets the offense. Biletnikoff wide to his right. Stabler back, looking over the middle. He goes. Complete to Casper for the touchdown. Stabler on the money to Dave Casper, and the Raiders celebrate.
Casper was an offensive tackle as a junior at Notre Dame. And he's not a nimble stylist like Biletnikoff or a whippet like Branch, but as we see in this replay, he's sort of, I guess you could say he's like a reliable hound who can find and fetch the stick no matter what thicket it lands in.
So we have 10:29 remaining here in the second quarter, and the Raiders lead 7-3.
Sistrunk. And I think what happened on Peyton's touchdown was that Sistrunk missed an audible call. He was caught out of position and then jumped off sides.
And the Bears certainly took advantage.
It took Jim McMahon, Merrill, nearly 20 minutes to get his first completion, but that pass certainly ignited the Bears' offense.
Well, he's the kind of athlete who can have a subpar game, but you put him in a money situation, and he'll find a way to burn you. Second quarter action, the Bears up 10-7.
The Raiders retaliate with an attack that reveals not only the straight-ahead determination of Mark Van Eegen, but the classic skills of Ken Stabler. His understanding of the passing game is so comprehensive, his delivery so poised, and his aim so precise that Chicago's excellent defensive responses are rendered almost useless. Stabler is in a groove like the kind baseball pitchers get into when they feel they can get every batter out. In the second quarter, he completes 10 passes for 124 yards, is not sacked once, and Oakland marches up and down the field. The performance is impressive, but unrewarding.
We have 40 seconds left in this first half. Division title, playoff berths on the line. Raiders have been moving, but they can't seem to score. They have a 2nd down and 5 on the Bears' 49-yard line. Bears still leading 10-7. Stabler is back to pass again. He is going deep down the middle. It's in the air. Caught by Branch, who takes it in. The ball is deflected. Cliff Branch maintained his concentration, somehow came down with the football and walked it in.
You know, the Raiders controlled the ball in the first half with a near flawless exhibition of precision passing, but oddly enough, it was Stabler's most imprecise pass that's just put Oakland ahead. It was an underthrow, and it was underthrown, then deflected into Branch's hands.
What a second quarter. 24 points scored in this explosive quarter, and the Raiders lead 14-10. Reese, along with Steve Sable, back at Chicago Soldier Field, where the Raiders lead the Bears 14-10 here at halftime. According to our computer, Ken Stabler is 17 for 21 for 219 yards for 2 touchdowns. Steve, that kind of reminds me of the performance that Dan Marino had against these same Bears in 1985 when he took the Dolphins to a 38-24 win. I think it was on a Monday night, and that was the Bears' only loss of the season.
That's true, and I think today Stabler is succeeding because he's throwing on first down more than half the time, and that's the key, because on first down, when the defense knows he can run any play once, he has almost twice the chance of completing a pass than he does on, say, 3rd and 8 when all 11 players on that Bear defense know he has to throw. And I think by avoiding all these 3rd and long situations, Stabler, who's not a scrambler, is not turned into a sitting duck in the pocket.
Okay, let's have a look at what's been happening around the league in the 6th week of the Dream season.
Halftime highlights brought to you by the new DP Ergometer for total no-impact workouts at home. No more excuses, America. And by Trade West, we put you in the action.
Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. What a dream season we've had. Already, we've seen Norm Van Brocklin quarterbacking the Eagles and the Rams in the same game. We've seen Paul Warfield catching passes for both the Browns and the Dolphins in the same game. We've seen Chuck Noll coaching the Steelers while blocking for Cleveland in the same game. But today, we've saved the best for last as the 59 Colts take on the 68 Jets.
Gino Marchetti, defensive end extraordinaire, looking down at the white shoes of Joe Willie Namath of the 68 Jets, opposed by the famed black high tops of number 19, Johnny Unitas. A busy man today, Jets cornerback number 24, Johnny Sample, also playing corner for the Colts as number 47, Johnny Sample. And before the game, when he went to shake hands with the other coach, Weeb Eubank found Weeb Eubank. Strange days indeed. Air pass. Looked for number 84, Jim Mutchler. Touchdown. Colts lead at 10-3. Weeb says, wait a minute, I invented that play. I should have known how to defend that play. But Weeb also in trouble on the Colts sidelines because pinned deep in his own territory. Unitas sacked by number 80 of the Jets, John Elliott. It's a safety. It's 10-5. Weeb beside himself. A team beside themselves, the Kansas City Chiefs. Won the first 2, lost the next 3, facing Jake Scott of the undefeated Dolphins of 72. But no matter. Dawson to Otis Taylor. Oh my goodness, he could go 90-plus yards. Taylor, who leads the dream season in receiving yardage, says, if I can't make it in the end zone, I'm going to give the ball to a teammate. Hey, Tank, Robert Holmes, you have a few, like the last 12. Pretty good play, huh, Gary Premian? Better than your pass in Super Bowl 7. But the Dolphins come right back. Mandich a touchdown, now Mercury Morris a touchdown. Good game at the half. Miami 14-13.
The Redskins and Cowboys have renewed their rivalry, and so far, Theismann and Morton have dueled to a 14-all tie. The Chargers and Browns are stalemated as well at 17-all. Otto Graham and Tobin Rote with 2 scoring passes apiece. The playoff-bound Niners and 83 Raiders are tied at 10. The Packers, edged out of postseason play, are playing for pride today against the division champion Steelers.
A yawner, even though you've clinched a playoff berth? No yawner against Bart Starr and the Packers. They've come to steal one from the Steelers. Jack Lambert trying to play some defense, but the tight end Marv Fleming is open. Starr finds him. Upset in the making. 14-7 Pack at the half.
So the dream season is winding down. We'll be back with the Week 6 finals and a look at the playoff matchups after the second half.
Soldier Field. It's halftime, and the Raiders lead the Bears 14-10. The Bears' offense has been sporadic so far, and Steve, in a game of this magnitude, we have a division title on the line. What changes do you expect from the Bears?
Merrill, I think we're going to see Jim McMahon try to put more pressure on the Raider linebackers with short passes, little flares, dump-offs to his running backs. And the Raider linebackers, number one, are better known for their aggressiveness against the run than their dexterity against the pass, particularly Monty Johnson in the middle, who played tackle in Nebraska, so he's a big guy. And once the Bears get a passing attack going, things might open up on the ground for Walter Payton, who's been held to 39 yards rushing in the first half.
John Madden looks like he's had enough of the halftime music, waiting for the Northwestern University band to leave the field. His Raiders lead 14-10 as we get set to begin the third quarter. Madden with a few final words to his squad. Bears saddle up for action. Singletary here for the duration. And it'll be Kevin Butler kicking off. It's high and end over end, coming down to Rick Jennings. Jennings drops it, goes after it, picks it up, stays on his feet, starts upfield. Rick Jennings starting to the outside. He's grabbed, pulls away from one man, and finally down he goes. So Rick Jennings not doing a bad job after picking it up.
This is a very important series for the Bears defense. They've got to make sure that the second half is not a repetition of the first. They were totally disarmed by Kenny Stabler, and the line of scrimmage, an area that Chicago usually dominates, has been controlled by Oakland. Dalby, Upshaw, and Shell have done just a great job at the line.
First and 10 for the Raiders, the ball on their own 13. They lead 14-10. Stabler wants to throw again. He is looking, he steps up, he drills it. Complete to Branch near the sideline. Branch starts upfield, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 25.
The Raiders opened the second half as they had the first, with Stabler attacking the corners with his passing and the middle with Mark Van Eegen. But this early success merely heightens the Bears' determination, and the third period quickly becomes a raging and rattling battle dominated by hits rather than wits. Strength counters strength, and there are few, if any, weaknesses to be exploited on either side. The third quarter is a demanding test of each team's will. Then, Jim McMahon imposes his wiles on it. McMahon begins to make the right moves, and the Bears begin to march. 3 times Walter Payton converts third downs to first downs. A 15-yard personal foul penalty on Oakland's Willie Hall gives Chicago the ball on the Raider 14.
1st and 10 for the Bears at the Oakland 14. Raiders still leading 14-10. McMahon is back. He's hit and sacked, and the ball is loose and picked up by Dave Rowe. Dave Rowe on the loose football, and there is a big turnover.
Villapiano, I think, Merrill, was the man who hit him. And, you know, the Raiders have been blitzing a linebacker on nearly every play. And earlier in this drive, McMahon was able to scramble out of danger. But this time, Villapiano was on him so quickly, he just didn't have time to react.
So the Raiders have the ball back 1st and 10 on their own 24-yard line. Stabler is back. He's under pressure. Stabler being rushed, and down he goes. And the football's loose. And the Bears get it back. Bears recover, I believe, at the Raiders 16. First sack of Stabler of the day as we have back-to-back fumbles.
The Bears had 8 men up on the line of scrimmage, and I think Stabler saw it, but he felt he could beat that stampede with another quick pass. But the speed and the ferocity of Chicago's rush caught all the Raiders by surprise.
Raiders aren't a team that fumbles often, but that may have been a very costly one right there. 1st and 10 for the Bears at the Raiders 16. Raiders hanging on to a 4-point lead with a playoff berth at stake. McMahon into a long count. Back he goes. He's loading up. He's going deep. Going for the end zone. Looking for McKinnon. Covered by Hall and Atkinson. Incomplete.
That Atkinson, that guy is so thin and spidery leg. Look at him. He looks like a train whistle could knock him over. But you know something, Merle? He has never missed a game in 9 years as a Raider.
There's a small but very vocal contingent of Raider fans here at Soldier Field, and they are chanting for the defense. It's 2nd and 10 for the Bears, and the ball remains on the Raiders 16. Raiders lead this game 14-10. Walter Payton hasn't had his share of the workload today, but the give to Payton right there, and he starts to his left, picks up about 7 yards, and down he goes.
You know, in 1985, Merrill, the Bears led the NFC in scoring because of 2 things. Number 1, a mistake-free, relentless running attack. And number 2, a defense that almost always set them up in good field position. And the Bears have suddenly combined these 2 elements here in the 3rd quarter to shift the momentum of the game in their favor.
There's Raider executive Al Locasau looking very concerned. It's 3rd down and 3. The Bears on the Raider 9-yard line. Less than a minute left here in the 3rd quarter. McMahon to Payton. Payton across the 10. Across the 5. Payton on his feet and into the end zone for the touchdown. And the Bears back on top. Payton with a 9-yard run. And the Bears regain the lead.
That's the first time today that Chicago's been able to sweep Oakland. And if we look at the replay here, I think we'll see why. Watch Chicago's all-pro tackle, Jim Covert, number 74, right there. He knocks out the Raiders cornerback, Skip Thomas, number 26. And Payton cuts inside his block and just beats the pursuit to the goal line.
So it's 17-14 Bears as the 3rd quarter comes to a close. Raiders trail 17-14 as the 4th quarter gets underway. This is for a playoff berth. The winner advances, the loser goes home.
I don't think Madden will alter his game plan here in the final period. The Raiders have more than doubled Chicago in total yardage. Stabler's been sacked only once, and the Raiders have been able to move. They just can't score, Merrill.
1st and 10, the Raiders on the 38. Their own 38, Stabler back, he's hit, and down he goes! Oh, it is Wilson gets him, and there's a loss of 10 yards.
The precise passing of Ken Stabler had shaped the character of the first half. Now, the mad fury of Chicago's defense shatters the pattern of the game. Richard Dent, Dan Hampton, and Steve McMichael charge through Oakland's pass protection, and Ken Stabler is sacked 3 times.
The Raiders' offense has really been smothered. But don't forget, the Raiders are one team that finds a way to play their best when things look bleak.
Especially Kenny Stabler. He's like one of those trick candles. You know, you keep thinking you've blown it out, and then it flickers back to life stronger than ever.
The Bears are the team on fire. Their defense is playing up to their reputation. Ray Guy back to punt. No pressure, gets it away. It looks a bit short. Going to be short. Oh, it takes a roll, and it bounces in front of Ken Taylor and catapults downfield, and he is going to come up with a 66-yard punt.
No team in the NFL had ever made a punter the first pick in the draft, and the Raiders did it with Ray Guy, and they were rewarded with the greatest punter in the history of the game. And that kick is probably the most significant Raider play thus far in the second half.
He didn't get all of it, Steve, but what a roll. We're in the fourth quarter. 8:14 to go. The Bears have a 1st and 10. They're backed up to their own 12-yard line, but they're hanging on and leading 17-14. McMahon out of the shotgun. He is looking over the middle. He gets it away. Picked off by Neil Colsey. Colsey at the 20, the 15, the 10, and he's brought down inside the 5. Interception by the former Buckeye, Neil Colsey. Steve, what was that Japanese word you used on the pregame show?
Sabaki. And that means the ability to turn the tide of battle with a single blow, and that's exactly what Neil Colsey has just done.
Well, that was not a high percentage pass for McMahon, deep in his own territory, and it may turn out to be very costly.
Well, it certainly got the Raiders fired up now, and it's given them a chance to take the lead.
It'll be 1st and goal for the Raiders on the Bear 4-yard line. Bolitnikoff splits wide, wearing his
little stickum there.
Yeah, little stickum. If he ever falls over, he can still catch the ball with his socks. Stabler up and under center. The snake retreats. He gets it away, going for the corner. Complete to Bradshaw. He kept both feet in. Morris Bradshaw reached out, kept his feet inbounds, and the Raiders are back on top.
Key to that score was this man right here, Mark Van Eegen, number 30. He picked up a blitzing linebacker and gave Stabler time to throw. You know, the Raiders said beforehand that they would have to take advantage of every scoring opportunity to stay in the game against Chicago's great defense, and that's what they've just done. And now that's why they lead.
7 minutes and 20 seconds left in this game. Raiders leading 21-17. Art Shell, what a draining afternoon he's had against that talented Bears defense. Ditka and Otis Wilson on the sideline, but the job is up to the Bears offense, and this has not been one of McMahon's better days.
Expecting Peyton to be Chicago's key weapon, the Raiders prepare themselves to shut him down. But instead of Peyton, McMahon attacks with Matsui, first as a runner, then as a pass receiver. Suey leads Chicago to midfield. Then McMahon calls on Walter Payton to carry the drive home. On 3rd down, with 6 yards needed for a first down, McMahon cannot locate an open receiver and is forced to run. his 4-yard scramble leaves Mike Ditka with a difficult decision.
It's 4th and 2 on the Raiders' 27. 3 minutes to play. The Bears trail 21-17. A field goal leaves the Bears a point short. A playoff berth awaits the winner.
I think he's going to go for it. You know, neither team has been able to move the ball consistently in the second half. The defenses have really set up both touchdowns, and this could be the last scoring opportunity either team will have.
The offense is staying on the field. The Bears will go for it. Steve, with this much time left, are you surprised they don't go for the field goal?
Nah, I'm not, Merle. The Bears would still trail by 1, and even if Chicago's defense could hold them, the way Ray Guy's been punting, the Bears could get the ball back, but it'd be deep in their own territory, and they'd still have to drive at least 40 yards to get into field goal range. They've got to use this opportunity to take the lead, not to close the gap.
A whole season could ride on this one play. 4th and 2 on the Raiders' 27. Here we go. The give is to Payton. Payton goes up. He's hammered. Oh, no, he hammered. No. Down he goes. He doesn't make it. He does not make it as the Raiders have stopped Walter Payton, and the Raiders take over on downs.
Now that's the mark of a great defense. It's not if you're number 1 versus the run or number 1 versus the pass. It's being able to stop the offense, take the ball away when the game is on the line.
And there's the man who delivered the killer blow, Jack Tatum.
Now there's still more than 2.5 minutes to play. And the Raiders, they're going to need to grind out a couple of first downs now to eat up the clock.
And that Bears defense, which has forced 2 turnovers, must continue to keep the wraps on the Raiders offense. The Raiders' net passing offense is only 34 yards in this half, and Ken Stabler has been sacked 4 times.
All the Raiders have to do is hold on to that ball for the next couple of minutes, and they're on to the playoffs.
Of course, you wonder about a Raiders offense thinking grind them out. That just doesn't quite fit the Stabler philosophy. There's Branch. He has had an awfully big game. 1st and 10, the Raiders with the ball on the 27. Stabler's going to pass. He's going deep. He is going way downfield looking for
He's
Branch.
open.
Branch has it and walks down the sideline. He's through it, and that's going to do it.
That's it.
That will wrap it up. And Stabler caught the Bears napping, and he went for it all, and the Raiders wrap it up right there.
Well, they stuck the knife in and twisted it and have just killed off any chances of a Chicago comeback.
What a great game for Stabler and Branch. The clock winds down 16-15. The Raiders complete the season unbeaten, and they advance to the playoffs. The Raiders have a date next week with the 1972 Miami Dolphins. NFL Dream Season brought to you by Levi's Dockers. If you're not wearing Dockers, you're just wearing pants. And by new Michelob Dry. One taste and you'll drink it dry. It was Ken Stabler and Cliff Branch leading the Raiders to a 28-17 win over the Bears. And of course, that often maligned defense came up with some very big plays. Before we look at the highlights of other games, Steve, your thoughts on this one?
Well, Merrill, I thought this game was a concise resume of the Raiders as a team. Fearless and explosive on both sides of the ball. On offense, the offensive line gave Stabler good protection most of the day, and he used the time to pick on the Bear cornerbacks, as we thought, with passes to Branch and Biletnikoff. And then on defense, the Raiders held Payton to under 100 yards. That's the first time that's happened in this dream season. And the linebackers and defensive backs smothered the Bears receivers. McMahon did not have a good day, completed only 1 pass longer than 20 yards. And then Neil Colsey's interception, well, that set up the winning touchdown.
Well, the Raiders will need that good defense again next week when they meet the 72 Dolphins in the playoffs. Right now, let's go to Chris Berman and see how they did today.
Hi once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. So it's the Raiders who round out the Fantastic Four. Shula, Madden, Nolan, Walsh. They're the 4 left standing tall. Weeb Eubank, unfortunately, may never recover from his truly psychotic outing down in Baltimore.
Weeb's Colts lead 24-19 over Weeb's Jets in the Rod Serling special. Number 12, Joe Namath gets the snap and block from 52, John Schmidt. Looking long for Hall of Fame receiver Don Maynard, but the winds at Shea are swirling. So is the football. It's picked off by Johnny Sample. That's right, sealing the Colts' 5-point win. Namath to Sample later. What'd you do that to me for? It's too cold. Had to get out of here.
In other finals today, it was San Francisco 20, the Raiders 10. Giants 31-14 over Detroit. Roger Staubach's a winner today, 24-13, but the 71 Cowboys came up just short, 27-24. And the Rams finally won one, 30-20, despite 2 more touchdowns for Jim Brown. Now, you just saw the 76 Raiders win their 6th straight. Let's take a look at how Miami and Pittsburgh did the same.
The Kmart Blue Light Special shoes belong to Nick Bonacani. The no-name defense belongs to the Miami Dolphins, trailing the Kansas City Chiefs 20-17. Those 69 Chiefs of Len Dawson throws, but boom! Tim Foley with the hit, Mike Colon, Captain Crunch with the interception, and Miami is deep in Kansas City territory looking for the go-ahead score. Oh my goodness, boys, we might be losing, and they do. When Bob Greasy hits the magician, Marlon Briscoe, corner of the end zone, touchdown, 24-20, Miami. Bart Starr knocked out of the game. Zeke Burkowski, quarterback for the Packers. Vince thinks it's a cheap shot. Dwight White says, oh yeah, this is a family show. No way, Mr. Lombardi. Ray Nitschke trying to do the same to Terry Bradshaw, knock him out. But on the frozen tundra of Three Rivers Stadium, Bradshaw hangs in, finds Lynn Swann, beats number 21, Bob Jeter. He could go all the way. 88 yards for number 88. The Steelers come from behind to beat the Packers 21-17. An emotional season for Vince Lombardi ends. And for the Steelers, they're 6-0. And their fans are psyched because they'll be playing next week in the Dream Playoffs.
The Steelers earned a playoff spot by allowing the fewest yards and scoring a Dream season high 158 points. Next week, the team of the 70s faces the team of the 80s, the 84 49ers, who behind Joe Montana ran up the most total Dream season yardage. Kenny Stabler fired a Dream season-high 15 touchdown passes as the 76 Raiders will take on Don Shula's Dolphins, powered by a defense that picked off the most passes and allowed the fewest points. I'm Chris Berman, and it's been a pleasure keeping you updated throughout this Dream season. I hope you've had as much fun as I've had. Stephen Merrill will be back with a final word right after this.
Don't forget, next week it's a playoff doubleheader. The 76 Raiders meet the 1972 Dolphins, and the 1978 Steelers will meet the 1984 49ers.
And the winners will meet the following Sunday to determine the all-time champion of pro football.
It could only happen in a Dream season. For Steve Sable, I'm Merrill Reese. Good night.
The computer software package that played the games and